Hey, it's Michael here with Oilers Live for a special Tuesday edition. Not a special Tuesday edition. I don't know what I'm talking about. We're on every Tuesday. And we're trying, though, something a little bit new tonight. New way, new format to stream. Love to get your feedback on it once you get on here and check it out. It is optimized, if you will, for mobile, I think. We'll find out. And let me know if you can hear it or not. I'd love to hear in the chat what's going on, if anything, and we'll see how it goes from here. Anyway, it's Oilers Live. It's Tuesday night following a disappointing overtime loss to the Nashville Predators in Nashville, 4-3 in OT. Not a great game. I mean, well, you know what? It wasn't the worst game the Oilers have played. But, we've got 2 points in the last 3 games. Not really ideal. So I've got as my guest tonight, Mr. Kirk Morris, who is one of our senior writers at heavyhockey.com. Welcome to the show, Kirk.
Thanks for having me on as usual, man.
Thanks for testing out this new format with me. We'll see how it works. I mean, maybe nobody can even hear us tonight, which I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. We'll see. Right now, when I go onto Twitter, it looks like the only thing people can see. Oh no, they can see both of us here, so that's good.
Cool.
Oh, I gotta turn off the volume there. So it's all good. We can still see your chat. We can see your chat will be available in and on the stream for everybody else to see. I don't know if that's good and bad too. I can probably turn that off if it turns out to be a bad thing. Anyway, we're always trying something new here, and that's the thing over here at Heavy Hockey. It's all about just doing new and improved stuff, being one step ahead of the big guys. Right?
That's right.
High end
Where that
production
step goes to, I have no idea.
yeah. We'll see. I mean, I'm kind of, I'm interested to hear, and we'll get some feedback from everybody after. But I'm interested to hear if you prefer the, method with the ability to watch it on mobile a little bit easier, like this. If not, then let me know. Let us know in the comments if you like, anything like that. We see already Renegade Man gets in. He is the first to comment live. I need someone to play Nurse and someone to take some of Nurse's minutes. Chychrun and Gavrikov are by far the best defensemen to go after. Problem is Holland doesn't want to give up Broberg. Now, Gavrikov came up today in the Heavy Hockey group chat. Lotzi, who's one of our regular writers, said, he didn't know much about him. Watched him today. He got walked within the first 5 minutes of the game, I guess. What's your thoughts on Gavrikov? I mean, I actually don't know the player very well either, to be fair.
I haven't watched the kid either, but the first time I heard about Gavrikov was from a buddy of mine there, Tyler Campbell. He has his own podcast called Soups on Hockey, and it was actually back in the preseason. And he said, shockingly enough, like he's really bang on with his predictions at times, and he said, one of the main, I guess, fill-in guys there on defense there. He mentioned Gavrikov, and I was like, okay, well. Didn't really look into it at the time. And then I heard Stauffer talk about it there on Oilers Now, and naturally he blurted out, the asking price there, Kekalina will be asking for like a first rounder. I'm like, well, no kidding. Like, but I don't know. Watsy said that his analytics weren't the greatest. And then, like, as you said there, he got walked tonight by Konechny, which isn't a good thing. So nope. I don't know. Everybody's just like, get Chychrun. Holland, get Chychrun. Like now's the time for Chychrun. It's just, do you want Peter Shirley 2.0 there and get knee-jerk trades there on the go and then sewer the team once again? Like, he's not gonna fly off the handle and make a trade for the sake of making a trade. It's just not his
Yeah.
style.
But okay, so this brings us to current events. All right. I mean, this is all. I mean, the reason Renegade Man comes in and says these comments is, the elephant in the room, right? This is Darnell Nurse, lately giving up pizzas just about every night,
Yeah.
and at the wrong possible time. Last 3 minutes of last night's game, stay in the Oilers zone, and really could have changed the complete outlook, like could have made it a 1-point game into a no-point game for the Oilers, as he throws one like he had money on the game, honestly, like right into
Yeah.
the slot, tape to tape. And it wasn't so bad that it didn't go in, but hey, like
Not the point.
the Oilers end up fighting it in their zone for the next 2 minutes. Face off ends up in there, they get it out. And it was the same thing the night before. So bad, in fact, that when Nurse gets the puck with 10 seconds left in the game, nobody wants him to do anything with it.
Yeah, Connor
Right?
there is over on the right-hand boards there with the stop sign up. Just
Yeah.
hold.
And you can hear
Just
Barry yelling at him,
yeah.
right? I think it was Barry. You can hear Barry on the game audio yelling, hold the puck, hold the puck.
Yeah.
Are they doing that because, like to me, that's a reaction to what they've seen, right? It's a reaction. And look, I don't want to get on the negative Nurse train because there's a lot of people on that boat. And, it's not that I'm like I'm a Nurse fan. Let's just put it out there, right? I'm a Nurse fan. I think that he's got utility on this team. I think that we need to step away from this contract, like step away from how people view this contract. Like, don't look
Yep.
at it as, like a million, millions. What is it? Eight and a half, nine? What is it?
9.25.
9.25.
Yep.
Don't look at it as a 9.25 contract because it's just going to piss you off. Right? Like it is. And, frankly, though, the Oilers got a deal on him for a few years.
Hey, they did.
Yeah. And, we talk about it in the Heavy Hockey group chat. It's too bad that not everybody can be a part of that. But, this is a guy who was, 7th in Norris voting. Is not far removed from that. But the
Yep.
challenge that I have is he's not playing like a first line pairing defenseman lately, but he's getting the minutes. And it seems to be that everybody outside of the fan base gives him a free pass as soon as he gets a point. But it's that guy on the team that can gets 1 point but lets 2 in, right? And or just the wrong time. And so frankly, I see Josh from Tough Call Pod is listening in. He suggested, like looking at how the minutes that Nurse plays relate to, how good of a game he has. And I think that's what we need to look at. We need to look at, reducing his minutes. I said this last night. We need to, reduce the amount of minutes he plays for one, right?
Yep.
Like it means having to put some trust into some of these other players like Kulak, Bouchard, who we know is not the greatest defensive player out there. Maybe even increase, like down the line, right? Like give your third pairing D a few more minutes. Whatever. Just you need to decrease Nurse's minutes. You need to make a trade. Like my concern right now is that we're going into the Christmas break. Calgary right now, as of right now, I think last time I looked was leading San Jose 2-0. Is it still 2-0? It's 2-1 now, thankfully, at the end of the first. Calgary, who's been nothing short of awful this season, and that's a good thing to smile at, right? They're only 2 points behind us. They win tonight, and they're tied.
Yes, sir.
So we're going into we're going into a game against Dallas, a top team. Dallas, 19-8-6, and we're likely. I mean, unless if Calgary screws it up, we're likely in a scenario where we're tied for, the wild card spot tomorrow night, and going in against Dallas. Now, the Oilers have the capability and the ability to beat Dallas. I believe that. I believe, offensive firepower wise, they can. But they can't be outscoring their mistakes every single night. And now's not the time anymore. Like, let's stop blaming the goaltenders. You'll like this, Kirk, because I mean, you can. Campbell was lights out last night.
For the most
Campbell
part,
was
yeah.
outstanding.
Yeah, this is his best game since Tampa, I thought.
Yeah, it's one of his best games. He just didn't get any support. Poor guy.
He had no
Finally,
run
he's
support
like,
for once, yeah.
feeling it. Not even just run support. He got 3 goals, but like get a little bit of a defensive support system in place. Like clear a couple pucks. Don't give them away, right?
Well,
I like what Josh has to say. Give guys the ice time based on their play, not their salary. Right?
yes,
Create
definitely.
that culture.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Renegade Man says Trelly knows how to draft players. Yamamoto, McLeod,
Touche.
Skinner. Yeah.
Touche, yeah.
Right.
No, that last night there with the third period, it was almost embarrassing. Like they kept getting hemmed in. And as you said, they're like, I thought Campbell saved their bacon. It could have been 6-7, 8-3 at that point. Like with the amount of, bad, like high danger chances that Nashville was getting. Like
how many minutes Nurse end up with last night?
I think
27?
25 or 26 or something like that.
Oh,
I gotta double check that. But
like, I don't want to get on this guy. Like, I like Nurse. I like he's got value to this team. But
yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Like he's doing too much. Simplify your game and then go from there. He's just, I don't know if he's all discombobulated, like doing like Jesse there. He's thinking too much on the ice, or maybe problems at home, maybe, or, he has a new kid, you got to be Mr. Dad there. So, or you got to be, put
the
on
Talbot
the dad
problem, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That could be it there too. He isn't himself this year for some reason. Like, and
the last few games, though, he's been giving up way too many
pizzas galore. Yeah, just 2-for-1 specials. Just
like I've been doing my darndest to defend the guy, right? But honestly, when he let that one into the slot last night,
you wrote an article there in the chat there today. I was like, holy smokes, man! Like,
I know.
Yeah.
And I like the guy. I really do. I mean, there's a lot of things to like about Nurse. He's tough. He's athletic. He gave us a few really good years on a value contract.
Yeah.
I thought, and I don't, I don't begrudge anybody for making top dollar, right? If they can.
Yeah. No, he earned it. Like,
go for it, right? Like you get the contract that's due, right? And when they signed it, I thought it was a little bit high, but at the same time, I mean, let's be real. I mean, there's not a lot of guys. They're not chomping at the bit to play in Edmonton. They want to play with Connor McDavid, but it's still a northern city. It's a lot of travel, right? Like you'll always pay an Edmonton premium.
Yep.
Right. Josh says Nurse 27 minutes 13 seconds time on the ice, another 57 seconds in OT.
Yeah.
What a
way
tough
too
game.
much. Way too much.
Yeah. It is tough. I'm glad that he can play it. Like, shows his athleticism. But he doesn't.
But is Woodcroft falling into that trap, that same trap as Tippett fell into? Just working the crap out of your stallions there, and then it just diminishes the value of the team in the long run. Like that's what happened when he was getting desperate there for wins. He threw Drysdale and McDavid together there too, and now you see Woodcroft doing that.
Yeah. I said that actually a couple shows ago, I'll recognize Bubsy there. Bubsy B says Jesse finally scoring. Woohoo! Finally, that is a good one. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
the prettiest goal I've seen, but
No,
hey,
you
a great
didn't
high
think about it. You
five
just shot it. Yeah.
between Papa Pugliarvi and Papa McDavid. There, you see that high five? That's classic. Oh man, not unexpected.
Oh man, that was
Oh.
that was just awkward as hell, man.
It was awkward as hell. It's good. It's good. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Spectre, I think, retweeted it of all folks.
Yeah.
And probably
Oh.
one of his better tweets. Anyway.
And of course,
check
there's
that
some
out.
serious people taking it way too far.
Oh,
Just like,
it was funny. It was good. It's good humor. I mean, we've all done it, right? We've all had the are we doing the fist bump or giving the high five? Let's go back to this Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl pairing. I 100%. I said this a couple weeks ago. The Oilers were in a bit of a slump, and now let's call one thing out, and that's the Oilers have had some pretty poor luck in terms of injuries again, as usual. But every coach that, and we've had a lot of them, right? Like, Connor McDavid gets a new coach every 6 months, it seems, in this league. Every coach, when they've been struggling with the Oilers, go with the nuclear option, and it works for a time.
mm-hmm.
But then, just like, nights like last night, and I'd say one out of every, few games, people get, they figure out how to play against them for a night. And then, you take that one line out of the equation, and other than the Pugliarvi goal, which, it's good. I'm glad he scored. But it was, that's throwing shit at the net and hoping it goes in, and it did. And sometimes that's all it takes.
Well, he didn't think about it. I think that's his biggest problem. He just overthinks.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He just chucked it at the net there.
But my point is none of that. Like, nobody else is scoring, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you take out our top line, when's the last time Shore scored, right?
He hasn't this year.
We got to do something about Janmark. I like Janmark. Like, I don't mind his style of play, but put, love or hate Fogle, put Fogle up there for a bit. I don't know. Do something if you're going to keep McDavid and Draisaitl together. But the whole thing for years, people were saying we've got a 1-2 punch, right? I was making fun of Calgary the other day because they were, everybody said the same thing about them, and then they ended up putting Kadri and Huberdeau on the same line. Yeah. I mean, this is what coaches do when they're struggling with the Oilers. They put McDavid and Draisaitl together. It's great, but, history is they still score their points together or apart. They score them on the power play. To me, it's a lot like in baseball, protecting a hitter, right? It's the same thing. You can't. How do you defend against Draisaitl and McDavid if they're on two separate lines?
Well, and
You
that's
still
just
have
the
Nugent
thing.
Hopkins. You still have, if you think Pugliarvi could, if you're a believer, and Bubsy, I hope you're a believer, but if you're a believer that Pugliarvi can turn it around and start putting the puck in the net, then throw him on McDavid's line or throw him on Draisaitl's line and keep him there. And get the two of them off the same line. I love Woodcroft too, but I'm this is so frustrating. Oilers in December, it's the usual thing. It's driving me up the wall, though.
Nothing secure. Yeah, that's
no.
And the funny thing is, you mentioned about their power play. It's white hot right now. It's like I think Gregor said on his show there today, it was like 17 for like 38 or something. It's something crazy. It was like 48% in like the last 5 games, I think it was, or
Oh, the power play
I
is ridiculous. I'm waiting
oh
for
yeah.
the officials to kick in and stop calling penalties again, because they do that.
Yeah.
It feels like they do that after a time. Oilers get too good on the power play, and then they stop calling penalties.
Yeah.
Um,
Might happen tomorrow night there in Dallas, because the last time they were there, oof, it was not pretty.
yeah.
Yeah.
You start Campbell again? I mean,
I
he had a
would,
great. He
yeah.
deserves it. He
Yeah, I
came out.
would.
You know what? He deserves. He played lights out. He did everything he could to steal that game, but the Oilers didn't want to. And why are we having trouble scoring? Right? Like, I mean, what happened in Anaheim against
Yeah, that's
who?
another Ripley's Believe It or Not
Right? Like
episode right
against who?
there.
Not in
Just
Anaheim, but
yeah. Well, just once again, bad defense like Bouchard and Nurse. I hate to say it, it's just more of the same, overthinking or not, no urgency. Well, with Bouchard, there's no urgency there. That one there, that Strome breakaway was just, it was mind blowing. Just why? Like, didn't you have your head up? Weren't you looking over? You just decided to toss a pizza there and 3/4 of the length of the rink there. Away goes Strome, and he scores on Skinner. But yeah, just it's hard not to sound negative when you're talking about our defense, because it's just simplification. And one simplification 101. They got to get more simple. Just even if you have to paint X's and O. I remember Randy Carlisle when he used to coach for the Leafs. At one point, he was painting X's on the ice for the players to stand, and literally, like, it was like a chess game out there. You treat it like a chess game. Maybe that's the only way to get through these guys. Like, hey, this is your area. You stick to this area and go from there. Like, just I don't
no.
know.
I mean,
Maybe
all of that is
Woodcroft is
all
being
that's
too
well and
nice
good
to him
too.
there too. Like, I don't know. Like, it just does. You notice that there in his pressers there too. He never badmouths a player or runs him off. And maybe he does it behind closed doors. I don't know, but
Yeah.
he
I
never
mean, I
rips anybody in the
expected.
media.
I expected Manson to tighten up this defense.
Yeah.
Crazy how much of a difference having Duncan Keith back there was, right? Like the little things, Like if you
That's another thing we're
had
missing is a veteran
transported us
voice.
back and we're doing this show to, today, last December, we would have been screaming about Duncan Keith. And now we're still screaming about Duncan Keith. Just we want him back on the blue line.
Yeah.
A couple things. Bubsy, thank you. I agree. He made some incredible saves. Soup deserves the start tomorrow. You know what? I think he does for sure. Some stranger says kills this team spirit when you can't manage to keep pucks out of your own net. Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, this is, this is
It just seems
Draisaitl.
like with the
Remember
PK.
how frustrated Draisaitl was at the beginning of the season?
Yeah.
Remember the look on his face? Remember the look? What game was it just the other night when was it Anaheim?
Yep,
And
it
that
was Anaheim.
McDavid's off first, and then Draisaitl's off, and the two of them.
McDavid was literally running to the to the dressing room.
I mean, I think part of that was, I mean, those guys, they had 40 some shots. The Anaheim game, I didn't think the Oilers played poorly, other than they, defensive gaffes, and they're, playing from behind. But they certainly gave it their all in terms of offensive capability and just couldn't find the back of the net. And that's going to happen. Happens to the Oilers more than I'd like to admit, especially for having a couple of guys that are, like halfway to 100 already points, right?
It's hard to believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I mean, this defense. So let's get back, the problem is not offense on this team. Well, there's still an offense problem, and that's everybody out of the, those two guys. And I think, as I said before, so I think that's an easy fix. You throw Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on 2 lines, rack it up with Nuge and whoever else on there,
Yeah.
and let them go. And they're playing amazing on the power play. That's where they're getting all their points. At least try them, on 2 separate lines. It's not like they're scoring 5-on-5 on the same line. But when they get on, that's what they're getting their points on the power play, and I'm all for that. I don't think that lessens their points anything. And if you think that, I think you're an idiot. But I'll just put it out there. Like, I mean, if it was, less of a thing, then there are teams that get way more power plays than the Oilers, and why aren't they leading the league in scoring? It's because the Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are absolutely outstanding. Okay, but here's the thing. So, they've got to do something about the offense 5-on-5 for sure. If they start scoring 5-on-5,
Yeah, look out.
holy shit! Like, look out, Boston, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is a team that just can't be stopped. I think they could do that. They gotta maybe get some guys back from injury would help. Looks like McLeod might be ready as early as next week.
Yep.
I think he makes a big change in this lineup. Holloway, I think has been playing better of late. Fogel's nice to have him back. You've got Nugent Hopkins, right? Hyman. I mean, you take your offense in pairs anyways, in duos. McDavid and Hyman, Draisaitl and Nuge, and Yamamoto. Everybody loved that line for the longest time. And who the hell cares who you put with McDavid and Hyman, right? So anyway, we're talking about offense, defense. So go back to our first comment of the night. Renegade Man says they need someone to play with Nurse and someone to take some of Nurse's minutes. Like I'm like,
that's the $1 million question now, isn't it? It's just who do you slot him with? Yeah, it's so frustrating.
Time for patience is gone, right? Like, the time for the Holland level of patience is over.
You're talking about Ken Holland here. He has a glacial movement when it comes to trades, right? So maybe they bring up one of the kids like Kesselring, bring him up or do something.
Yeah, but it's not going to solve the problem. Like, the problem has to be a legit top pairing D-man that, like a Larson, like a
stay at home, shut down defenseman.
Stay at home, shut down defenseman. CC has done an amazing job for what we expected of him, but that doesn't make him a top line D man, right?
Yeah,
that makes him, achieving more than what we expected. That's all that is. He's done. Look, I'm not upset with CC. Nobody ever, when Holland got him, nobody ever thought he was going to be our top pairing D man, right?
Yeah.
The fact that he's filled in for as long as he has, hey, it's great. It's awesome, but that's not the guy. Like, we need a guy that can, frankly, deal with the turnovers that Nurse gives up, or a guy that can give, Nurse a little bit of a break on that back end, right? Yeah. And it's nobody in the lineup today.
I hate to say it there, Michael.
Nobody in the system. It's nobody in the lineup, and Oilers fans got to be prepared that if it's going to happen, it's going to be at the expense of Bourgault or Broberg, first rounder, because not only do we need to give up some really good assets to have that happen, we need to give up somebody, like we need to take somebody out of the lineup that has some salary so we can fit somebody, like Ekholm came up in the group chat. I like Ekholm, but he carries what, $6 million in salary?
Yeah, 6 million plus, I think it
So he
is.
doesn't fit right now.
Yeah, and Nashville eating half that contract, I don't see it happening. It's just you're gonna have to make the money work one way or another. I was gonna say here, I think the definition of insanity is starting to kick in with Woodcroft. Gregor, I don't know if Gregor or if it was Low Tide there. I think it was Low Tide there today, mentioned on his show with Jameson. Nobody has revolted against Woodcroft with his coaching decisions as of yet, and with his management of his lines. That's yet to come. I can see it from a mile away. If he continues with the definition of insanity, keep putting out the same lines, even tomorrow night, people are going to start getting pretty cross pretty quick. Like just,
Woodcroft is about as likable a guy as you'll ever meet, right? Like or see him on TV or whenever. Josh says 97, 29, and 93 on 3 different lines. Who do they match up against? 100% agreed. Like, yes, yes, and yes. And every single time, go back to every coach that ever failed in Edmonton, and they put 97 and 29 on the same line together when it gets to be shit. And it didn't save him then, and it's not going to save Woodcroft now, and he's got a chance to change it. Tomorrow night's as good a night as any. He's got to do it. He's got to change
you
it
mentioned
up.
you mentioned about Woodcroft being a likable guy. You remember the day that Tippett got hired? Everybody loved him. Same thing. You have your honeymoon period. You're going to have the dead cat bounce or whatever you want to call it.
Not even close to there. I'm not even close to. But there is a contingent of fans out there that are on the fire Woodcroft, right? Like,
oh yeah, there always is.
I mean, it's an annual thing in Edmonton, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to mention any names on here, but yeah, no, I hear you. But yeah, and like I said, Low Tide mentioned it on a show there today, and I was like, if it keeps going downhill, like you remember last year when they were souring on Koskinen and whatnot else there into January of last year. I am trying strongly here to keep my hopes high that it will change. But it seems like this same old story is playing out all over again, just like last year. And then miraculously they just pulled their boots up there and they went to work. So
yeah.
What's it going to take? I have no idea. It probably would be a trade, but it won't happen.
What was the big thing that he did?
Well, details.
Details. But he changed. He took Connor and Leon and put them on separate lines. He did.
Yeah.
He did what we're screaming at right now that he's back to. And oh man, I love Woodcroft. I really do. I think the guy's awesome. But his lazy coaching to put those guys on the same line.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's just like you said, it's that nuclear. That's that nuclear option, and he abused that nuclear option.
There's no creativity in that.
No, just okay. Yeah, you can go ahead and play.
Do it. And it's do it. The last. I'm all for the last 60 seconds, minute of a game. Power plays. Those two play together. Give every night they play together 5 minutes, no matter what. Right. And instead, you get to this point where I don't know, like they're, now they're playing together 60 minutes a night. I mean, obviously they're not, but they've got to, you got to split them up. And I would go as far as what Josh said, split up McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nuge, which is, the angels' voices from the heavens that we talked about when, right, wasn't it when McDavid was, when we realized that we had McDavid and we knew we had a player in Draisaitl, and we had Nugent Hopkins, who has proven himself to be a very great defensive forward, one of the top defensive
complete
forwards
200-foot player. Yep.
That's what like I remember remember being with my friends and they're having beers and doing all that stuff and saying, "Man, we are gonna take this league," like, and never look back because we've got the top 3 centers in the league.
Yep.
And we've never and Nuge was seeing how much third line time, right? And like and don't just put McDavid out there. Don't play him for 25 minutes a night. Right? Like, don't play him for that. There's guys like Robertson's playing 20 minutes a night and he's, scoring goals.
Just racking them up, yep.
Right? Because he's
What's the other thing that
energy and the
Woodcroft
power.
hasn't used as of late?
What's
11 and 7.
Pardon me?
The one thing that Woodcroft hasn't used as of late is the 11 to 7 lineup. It's always been 12 and 6.
I mean, but that's because we don't have 7 healthy defensemen. I'd say it probably has more to do with it. And then we got to get Shore out of the lineup.
I thought you were like his biggest fan.
Yeah, according to Dash. Jeez, he tried to.
According to Dash.
According to Dash, I'm Shore's biggest fan. According to Dash.
Go Shoresy, go.
What's going on with Benson?
I think he's in Baco right now. I think he is playing for the Condors there, and I don't see him coming up anytime soon, to tell you the truth. I don't know.
Is it a salary thing? Like, why are we playing Shore over
performance?
Benson?
I don't know. It's
like I love Benson on this team in a fourth line role. He's got a little bit of sandpaper,
grit,
some grit.
You pair him and Costin together. You play Costin on as off wing there. You got a little bit of sandpaper there for sure.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's just throwing. It's the equivalent of throwing shit against the wall here right now for the bottom 6, really, because they haven't produced jack. Like there's been spurts of greatness, like from Costin. I like his play, but
what do you say about this? Like, you start to play 97 and 29 fewer minutes. Maybe Josh will chime in on this because I bet you he agrees with me. You play 93, a few more minutes on a third line.
Yeah.
How does that help the D out? Do you know what I mean? Like, does that help because these guys maybe have a little bit more energy to play some defensive, like a 200-foot game? Like, or am I just throwing shit against the wall right now?
It's a structural thing there too. Like that's the other thing. Like it doesn't make any sense what they're doing right now. When Woodcroft came in, he always had that I think it was the center. He would always go low. I thought maybe I'm crazy, but thinking about this, but it just seems like they're letting their defense play in the low end and toss a pizza up the middle, and hopefully we're off to the races. If not, they're sucking hind tit, and then they're out to lunch, just like it's been for like the last while. It just structurally hasn't been sound. Like I said before, they need to go back to the basics, simplify it. Have the one forward help out on D. And yeah, sure, it's a boring brand of hockey. Like it's very defensive. But you need help. Period.
Yeah, my point is if guys are playing fewer minutes, like your top guys, then they, these guys got the energy to do it. So a little bit of the commentary on YouTube right now. Stahl says, "Be nice to see McDavid and Dry play a little less minutes and have other players step up. We're going to burn those guys up." I mean. And some stranger says McDavid and Dry just don't like to play defense. Look, I mean that's kind of the part that I'm getting at is maybe they would, but if you're playing, what's McDavid average? 25 minutes a night?
It's in the high 20s, yeah. It's
in the high 20s.
Ridiculous. But yeah, like you remember like last playoffs.
23 minutes. 23 minutes.
Like last playoffs. last playoffs, everybody was playing defense. Like
you go down
don't
to
know.
top scorers on the list in the NHL.com. Check out stats. Time on the ice, you got McDavid and Draisaitl both over the 22, close to 23 minutes for Draisaitl as well per night. Tage Thompson's at 18:54. And he just got 50 points. Only non-Oiler to get 50 points. Let's hear a clap for Jeff Aid there.
Yeah.
Kucherov's at 21 minutes. He's outstanding. Right? Jason Robertson, who we talked about, 18 minutes.
18 minutes, yeah.
Kiprasov, who, by the way, just hit 200 points in a shorter time span than Connor McDavid. 20 minutes and 46 seconds on average. So 3 minutes less.
Kucherov, right? Not Kiprasov?
Kaprizov, sorry.
Or Kaprizov, okay.
Yeah. He actually he had unreal numbers. 200 points in 167 games, I think, which beat McDavid by about 10. Point being, I mean, look, this is, at the end of the day, this is like, at some point, a guy's got to come in there and have some faith in the rest of the team, right? They've got to have some faith in the rest of the team and say, you got to get out there and do your job, play the second, third, fourth line some more minutes, give them some more time. Everybody who's played this game, whether you've played it at, the top level, or you've played it at, junior or whatever level you've played at, knows that if you're sitting on the ice, if you're sitting on the bench, like, nobody wants to sit on the bench for too long because you get cold, right?
Yeah, it's still, yeah.
You got a guy that plays 6 minutes. You can't expect him to go out there and score a goal, right? Like, his hands never get there, right? So, you not only are you wearing out McDavid and Draisaitl, who they're never going to turn away ice time, right?
No.
Like, those guys, they love to play, and I love them for it, but you gotta, like, so I just feel like Woodcroft is the kind of guy that can sit back and figure this out on his own, and he hasn't yet.
Yeah.
And do you need a guy, like, do you need an asshole to come in, like, like not a, like a Tortorella or somebody for one season to say, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need?
Well, you hit the nail on the head there earlier with Duncan Keith. They obviously miss Mike Smith there, because those two veteran voices. If you screwed up, I just about swore. If you screwed up, Mike Smith would let you know. He would give you crap right on the spot, like he did to Bouchard there last year. What did Bouchard do? He tightened up his game. Lo and behold, he played better. They don't have that veteran voice, like, say, hey, cut the crap, and it leads back to a trade again. Maybe get a Jonathan Taves in the mix, and he can get put up with that kind of bullshit, So they need a veteran. They need a veteran voice. They need something. They need juice. They just need that invisible juice to get everybody acclimated again, like they were in the playoffs, and play smart defensive hockey. They did that in the last year's playoffs, like against. Yeah, it's frustrating as hell, man. Like, it's just,
here's the other,
it's two different
all
teams.
Of this to say, we talk about, like, needing goaltending. We've always talked about needing goaltending.
Yeah,
we need the defense to help out the goaltending, because we've had guys come through the system that were supposed to be, like, even having said all of that, Koskinen, like, people wanted him on their team. The Oilers weren't the only ones that wanted to sign him.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
they might have paid a bit of a premium for him, but guys wanted to sign Koskinen. He wasn't a shit goalie.
No.
But we sure as hell did a good
thanks to
job
his
of making him
performance
look
there
like one. right?
Well, his performance there at the World Hockey Championships didn't hurt him one bit. And I said to myself, I'm like, this guy is friggin' scary. And then Chiarelli there in free agency went out and plucked him. Said, "Yep,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to sign you to
I
a
mean, it
ridiculous
was a bit of an
contract," but he still
overpay,
plucked them.
bit of an overpay,
Sorry?
but it was a bit of an overpay,
Yeah.
but somebody
Definitely.
somebody was going to.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
because he had a pedigree. He was good. And I'm not saying, look, I'm not a Koskinen fan. I sent, I did chirp him in the group chat just the other day, as a matter of fact. But the point being is, at some point, the defense needs to start taking some responsibility for that as well. And we all know the defense is lacking. This team desperately needs Holland to, at some point, decide that now's the time, right? Like every year, it's next year. At some point, he's got to decide now's the time.
Yeah, pull the trigger.
And how incredibly wrong things have gone that we're going to be sitting after tonight, assuming the lowly Flames can pull off a win against San Jose. What's the score on that? 3-1 now.
3-1, yeah. 4 minutes left in the second.
How incredibly wrong is it that, we could be out of a playoff spot even when Christmas hits?
Kraken is winning there over the Blues. They're 2-4-1, so they're lengthening their gap between us and them.
And Stal says this, and I'm beginning to. This is, and he said this on one of the. And Stal, I want to say thank you for tuning in and commenting as much as you do, and watching, and thanks for the compliments. You've brought this up before. If we don't start winning, I'll bet that McDavid will want to trade when his contract is up. At some point, as much as we've all argued that it's not going to get there, it will get there. Guys can only take this for so long. And frankly, we're not, the fact that we're fighting for a playoff spot is incredibly wrong. It's incredibly wrong. And, there's the other part that's wrong about all of this is that everybody, there's nobody that's screaming for anything different, right? Everybody outside of the organization kind of has a unified voice on a couple of different things. One is need better defense, right?
Screaming that for years.
Yeah, need better defense. So go out and do something about it.
Yeah.
And then I think for the most part, other than a couple of people, most people agree you need to have those two split up, McDavid and Draisaitl, and most people agree they need to. I would say most people think they need to play less minutes. I don't think what I'm saying is anything revolutionary. In fact, I know it's not, because everybody in the chat agrees with me, right? And so it's not. I'm not coming here and telling anybody something nobody didn't already know, right? In fact, this is just plain obvious. And so, at the end of the day, at some point, Styles going to be right, because McDavid's going to say the same thing that you and I and everybody else in the chat saying, which is, Holland should have got me a D-man.
Yeah.
Holland should have done this with the forwards, right? Or Woodcroft should have done this with the forwards. And at some point in my life, I want to go and win a Stanley Cup. And the capability is there. The capability for this team to have two. I always say it arguably, but I believe they're the two best players in the league today for very different reasons.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then
Just
Nugent Hopkins is a top player in this league. He's a chameleon because you don't know if he's a goal scorer, if he's a offensive defenseman, or what he is, or a power play specialist. Nugent Hopkins is everything, right? He is
did you
everything
read
you want on the team.
Did you read Frank Saravelli's article there? I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago. He rated Nugent Hopkins #1 to have on your power play. Like,
yeah,
he's a unicorn. He really is. You think McDavid and Draisaitl are the stars of the power play? No, it's Nugent Hopkins. He's a hell of a puck distributor, and he can shoot the pill when he wants to, like he demonstrated last night. And once everything starts flowing through him, like when you remember when he got injured there last year in that Florida game, how much they missed him on the power play. It was huge. And now you see him there. It's just like, he's a wizard. He really is a wizard.
He is a wizard. And yeah, I mean, it's just, this team has all of the tools on the offense. And Nurse doesn't need to go anywhere. Let's be clear about that. Like, I don't believe that. But you could argue with me. Who cares? I'm the host of the show. Just throw you on mute. Nurse doesn't need to go anywhere. Nurse, even for that matter, he's not playing it lately. He's a top pairing D-man. He finished 7th in Norris voting, right? Top pairing D-man doesn't finish 7th in Norris voting. He's got offensive talents. He can skate. He's athletic. He's got to be utilized properly. Utilization with any player is, 75% of their success.
How do you divvy up the minutes, though? Like, he logs huge minutes, so how are you going to distribute that?
Faith. Like, legit. No, legit. It's got to be faith. Yeah. You got to have faith in everybody on this team.
The kids. Yeah,
and
especially
not
the kids.
To mention, look at, if I get on a team and I'm Holloway or Puljujarvi, and I get out there and, I end up playing 6 minutes a night, any given night. And I said this last year. I said it with Tippett. I'll say it with Woodcroft. I'll say it with anybody. But at some point, a little bit of you says, team doesn't believe in me. Maybe, like Puljujarvi says, maybe I don't belong in the NHL.
Yeah.
But no, like, guys fuck up all the time in this league and get minutes the next night because they don't have McDavid and Draisaitl on their team, and because they get paid to play. And at some point, as a coach, you gotta step in and be the coach and say, we've got 12 forwards on this team, and we're going to divvy it up. First line's going to get the most minutes, like they always do. Except, hey, we got 2 first lines because we got McDavid running one and we got Draisaitl running the other. Those guys will get a lot of minutes. But the 3rd and 4th line are going to pitch in equally, right? They're going to, they're going to get that remaining third in equal amounts. And it's going to work out. But you can't just you can't do it for 10 minutes of a game and then decide that, you know what, I'm too scared to do it. You got to have faith. That's where the faith in the lineup comes in. And that's where guys like Puljujarvi don't go and talk to reporters and say, well, maybe I don't belong here. Because they've been told every day they do belong, and they've been shown that they belong because that's how they're utilized. The same goes on the defense. Like, if you're playing Nurse 30 minutes a night, you're in essence telling the other 5 guys on the team, you're not good enough to play against the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd line of because 30 minutes a night does not mean you're playing against the top line. Top line, as we just pointed out in the stats there, all those guys play 18, 19 minutes on average. So Nurse is playing another 11 minutes, and he doesn't play on the power play, right?
Yeah, go figure. Yeah.
So that's, take out 6 minutes of power play time. He is playing 50%. He's playing against the top line, and he's playing against the second line.
Yeah. No, it's. I'm just looking up at the time on ice, games played average. Darnell Nurse, number 1, 24 minutes, 4 seconds. Number 2, Connor McDavid, 23:01. Leon Draisaitl, number 3, 22:29. Number 4, Cody Ceci, 21:04. Number 5, Zach Hyman, 20:46. And Tyson Berry at number 6, 19:59. Brett Kulak and Evan Bouchard are basically neck and neck at 18 minutes a night. Matthias Janmark, 15:20. Like that. And then you look at Puljujarvi there. He's only getting 13 minutes a night. Like that should be reversed right there. Like
I don't remember this, but Josh brings up Derek Ryan's interview from last year after Woody came on.
Yeah.
We feel like we have a reason to come to the rink now. We have a chance to play.
Yeah.
So Woodcroft's come in and he's done what everybody else has done in the past, right? He did, and he started out right. In fact, Josh is 100% right. Like the way Woodcroft started was this was a team. And then somewhere
team direction.
Somewhere over the summer, it became the McDavid and Draisaitl show again. And you got to go back to the fundamentals and be a team again. And look at what made this. This was the top team in the league once Woody came in last year.
Yeah.
Well, one of the 3.
Yeah, just like top 3 in winning percentage here. It was like 23-7 and I think 4 or something like that. It was something crazy.
It was
like
crazy.
A 700 winning. Yeah.
3-2, by the way, Flames over Sharks.
Let's go Sharks.
Yeah. Sharks have got the ugliest retro jerseys I've ever seen in my life, by the way.
I actually don't mind them.
You don't mind them? Yeah.
Are you talking about the reverse retros?
I didn't hit the mute button fast enough on that one.
Oh. You're talking about the reverse retros, right?
Yeah.
The old California. I don't mind them. I really don't. Honestly.
I don't know. What's the one like the really sort of god awful teal? I mean, they have teal, but they've got some. Are those the California Seal ones?
Yep. That's the font.
Those are horrendous. Those are absolutely awful, Kirk, and I will die on this hill. All right. You know what? We're running down. We're just about at the hour mark. Lots of commentary. Dogs barking upstairs. I can hear them saying it's time. It's time. Before we go, everybody, I've had a couple of comments on DM on Twitter. Tell me Mike sounds good. I'd love to know how everybody thought the format was in terms of having the chat on the screen. Whether you like the view for mobile, if you prefer that. How many people? I think most people nowadays, I know I do, watch this stuff on mobile more than I do. And even if it's not on mobile, I don't mind watching it in a mobile screen. Thanks. Style says keep it. Great new format. So I think we're gonna do this from now on for Oilerslive Tuesdays. We'll do this next week. I'm gonna have Ryan Lotsberg back one-on-one. I haven't had Lotzi on for a while. Lotzi has done, and I know I've said this lots, but he's done a great job of keeping the site stocked with articles, and he's been doing these call outs, shout outs, standouts every game. I don't know. The guy must have like a ghostwriter or something. He writes more than Stephen King. But he's doing a good job, and I always love his takes. So he's doing a great job, and you know what, the whole team, they're absolutely fantastic. I feel like every Tuesday at the end of the show, I get this like really warm and fuzzy feeling about the guys that I get to work with on this heavy hockey project, and it's been a lot of fun. And I hope it comes out that I'm thankful for all of you, because I really am, and I'm sure it does. All right. anyway, you know what? I'm going to finish the show. I'm going to give my statement, and then as I do, Kirk, I'm going to give you the last word. I have no idea even how to turn this stream off tonight, but we'll figure it out. Just say goodnight when you're done. So here's my sort of my parting words. First off, subscribe at youtube.com/heavy hockey. Oh, there's not crazy about the small screen, some stranger says. Anyway, I'll get people's feedback after this. Well, and I'll make, maybe it's every second episode show. But anyway, back to my comments. Nurse needs to play fewer minutes. Check. Right. Holland needs to make a move on, some type of trade, whatever. And it's going to, guys, everybody out there, guys, women, whatever. It's going to be a couple, maybe one, maybe two good resources, maybe a first round pick. Who the fuck knows? But it's going to be something big to make that happen because salary's got to go in order to get the right guy. And let's not, I don't swear a ton, but I'm swearing now because we got to quit fucking around and get the top top D pair, somebody that can, deal with that. So Nurse, fewer minutes, make the trade, right? Make the trade, get the right D-man here at all costs, and win this year, win next year, win the year after that, and then I'm happy going through 3 to 5 years of mediocrity, because that's where we're at for the last 15 years, right? Mediocrity. So change something up. Change it up now. Like, do something. Get Draisaitl and McDavid off the same line. I'm not crazy about that. Do what Josh said. 97, 29, 93, separate lines, 1, 2, 3 punch. We got the guys. Like, 97 makes guys better. That's the quality of player he is. Draisaitl, he does that too, maybe not to the same extent, but he does that. And those guys will still play minutes together on the power play, and they'll still get 43%, 30 to 43% on the power play. And they'll still score. Like, let's be honest, as fans, we watch and we think as soon as there's a power play, we're pretty damn excited, right? You got Nuge, Draisaitl, and McDavid on the power play. And it's hard not to, a lot of times I just expect it to be a goal. I'm disappointed. I feel like something's gone completely wrong when it's not a goal. So they'll get that time. You got to split them up, and you got to do it now. And then you got to play. You got to believe in the team. And again, maybe I'm quoting Josh too many times, but I love that quote about Derek Ryan from last year. That guys, wanted to come to the rink to get a chance to play. You got to do that. You got to make this team. Some stranger says Holland is making a move. He's just not rushing it. I hope you're right. It's got to be. You can't. It's Christmas, and the team's not guaranteed a playoff spot yet, right? They weren't going to be guaranteed a spot, but they're, not firmly entrenched in a playoff spot, and it's the end of December, close to. Got to start rushing it at some point. Like, I just don't want to see this go down to the wire again. Anyway, those are my points. I think most people agree with me. I don't think it's rocket science. I don't think my analysis is in any stretch, way out there. It's pretty easy stuff, right? Like, you got McDavid, you got Draisaitl, you got Nuge, you got Darnell Nurse. I'll put him in there. He's a hell of an athlete. And you got Jack Campbell playing games like he did last night, right? Like, Jack Campbell plays another game like that. Shit, watch out, NHL, because that's the guy that, went to the All-Star game, right? That guy from last night. Like, he made some stellar saves. And Skinner, even though he lost the other night, man, I've not seen a positional goalie like that since Talbot had his good season in Edmonton, right? Like, Skinner positionally, the reason we're not wowed by him is because he's so good positionally, right? Like he's just in front of the puck. He doesn't need to make the, split save or anything like that. I love watching Skinner play, and I'm just so excited that Holland bridged him. I don't care if we got to pay him $20 million in 3 years. I'm just happy to have him for a few years at what I think will be a deal coming into next year. Anyway, that's like 80 words when I was going to say about few. So as I always do, Kirk, thanks so much for joining me as usual, and you get the last word. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and tune in next Tuesday. We got Ryan Lotsberg, and continue. Please give me the feedback. Some stranger, thanks for the feedback about the small screen. If other people like it, we'll decide what to do, or maybe we don't do it all the time. Maybe we do it sometimes. Whatever. Anyway, we're agile here. We're still small, so we can do whatever the hell we want, right? You're up, Kirk. I'm putting myself on mute right now.
I was wondering if I was ever going to get a word in. You took the words literally out of my mouth. Oh, buddy. Well, I kind of share the same sentiments as you, man. Like, I am hopelessly positive. Like, I hope this team does put their work boots on, pardon me, pull themselves up and get to work. It's really frustrating at times. I see it every day on Twitter. I see it every day on social media. It's a big ugly monster at times. People want change, and they're willing to do anything just to make the team better. Sadly, excuse me, like the salary cap isn't 100 million or 120 million. It's not like pre-2005. You just can't go out and grab players at will. We live in a salary cap world, and we're held to it. We're literally held to our feet to the fire by it at times, and there's nothing we can do. But I have faith. I have blind faith in this team, and I know with the two best players in the world, it'll happen. It might be too late. I don't know. Time will tell. And I just wanted to comment on the Skinner bridging their 3 years, $2.6 million per. Hell of a value signing. I hope he wins the Calder, or at least gives it a really, really good go. My top three goalies, it's Kochetkov, Thompson, and then Skinner for the Calder. And then that Kochetkov kid is freaking scary as well. Like he's making a run for it, that's for sure. And same thing with Thompson. Thompson's kind of went down by the wayside here as of late, but I hope Stu gets serious consideration there for voting there at the end of the year. And with that said, I hope the boys just show up tomorrow night. Just play something, play some defense. I'm not asking for much. Just some structure. Just do something rather than last night there. I hope for the best though, man, because it's all we got, right? It's all about faith and all about hope at this point. With that said, good night, everybody.